You ever realize the person sitting across from you is quietly trying to end your life? Not with rage, not with a gun, but with patience. That's what it felt like that morning. Emily stood over my bowl of soup, her hand steady, calm. A tiny packet tore open between her fingers, a faint dust settling into the steam. She stirred it once, smiled sweetly, and walked away to pour herself water. I stared at the bowl. And then, without a word, I switched it with hers. No shaking hands, no hesitation, just instinct. She came back humming, sat, lifted her spoon, and ate. And I watched the woman I loved swallow her own plan. For months, I'd felt something slip. Her voice turned polite. Her touch turned rehearsed. Her laughter, the one I used to love, had started coming from another room, behind locked doors and whispered calls. I told myself we were tired, that marriage dulled edges. But it wasn't dullness, it was distance. The kind that grows when someone's already gone in their mind. The soup only confirmed what I'd been too afraid to admit. This wasn't boredom, it was calculation. She wasn't leaving me, she was removing me. That night I couldn't sleep. I stood by the window, staring at my reflection, realizing how small I'd become in my own house. Her phone rested on the nightstand, glowing faintly like a secret trying to stay hidden. Careless people always think they're brilliant. I picked it up and read. Not love messages strategy. When? How long? Make sure no trace. A name followed. A man I knew. The same friend she'd sworn I didn't need to worry about. My stomach didn't twist. It settled. Because now I had proof. I copied every message and saved them to a drive sewn into my jacket. Evidence was oxygen now. I couldn't breathe without it. The next morning, I walked into a private lab and handed them her coffee mug. Toxicology, I said. That was all. Money makes people stop asking questions. Back home, I smiled, cooked dinner, played the role of the loving husband. She laughed, talked about yoga, asked about my day. Every second of it was theater, and I applauded like a pro. 2 days later, the report arrived. Rat poison. Small doses. Accumulative. The kind that weakens before it kills. Death disguised as care. She wasn't clumsy. She was precise. That night, I set an envelope on the dining table. Inside lab results, screenshots, and every trace of her deception. When she walked in, her heels clicked against the floor, sharp and confident. Then she saw the envelope. The color drained from her face like someone had pulled the plug. "What's this?" she asked softly. Her fingers trembled before she even touched it. "This isn't what you think. You don't understand." But I did. I'd spent months pretending not to. She opened the envelope, read the pages, her breathing shallow. When her eyes met mine, I felt no pity left to give. "You ate my portion." Her lips parted, then froze. She blinked, like her brain was trying to reboot. Her eyes darted, calculating. Every lie she ever told flickered across her face before fading into nothing. I slid my phone across the table. Her messages glowed on the screen, every detail, every plan. She reached for it. I stopped her hand mid-air. "You'll leave quietly," I said. "Tonight, no drama. If you're still here in the morning, this goes to the police." Her shoulders collapsed. She tried anger, then tears, then silence. I stayed still. Sometimes, silence burns louder than rage. At midnight, she walked out, suitcase in hand, mascara bleeding into her cheeks. The sound of the door closing felt heavier than any slam. I sat there staring at the empty bowls. The one she'd poisoned. The one she ate. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like confirmation, like a surgeon closing a wound that should never have existed. When I washed the dishes, my hands didn't shake. The house was silent, stripped of her voice, her perfume, her pretending. For the first time in months, the air felt breathable. Clean. Honest. Mine. People imagine justice as fire and noise. But mine was quiet. A spoon, a packet, a single switch of bowls. No screaming, no chaos, just truth finally standing still. The poison never touched me, but it consumed her long before it reached her lips. Because deceit always starts from within. And she had been drinking it for months. All I did was let her taste what she'd been serving me. I turned off the lights, stood in the dark kitchen, and listened to the house breathe. It wasn't peaceful, but it was real. And for the first time, that was enough.